The revival, of course, as everyone knows, that was this weekend.
Oh boy! Remember when we thought season 7 was bad?
Little children we were then.
We waited 9 years for this. Oh god. Where to start?
Yeah.
Seriously, what the style, the
Filming
writing,
style.
acting. I'm sorry to anyone, by the way, who actually did love the revival.
It was not for us.
I have no words about the 4 final words.
All this time we were in a Broadway musical.
Seriously, Amy, what happened?
We call it the George Lucas effect.
Yeah.
That's our term
Yes.
for when people who were formerly great just lose.
They come back a few years later and they just go a little overboard with things. Just slightly.
Vomiting up every idea that you thought might have been good back in the day and trying to cram it all into 4 episodes.
Yep.
We're still processing, but healing would be the other word.
I'm calling it a recovery process right now.
It's gonna be a while before we get back.
It's gonna be a few weeks at least. I'll never be okay, but...
No. But if you loved it, then I'm happy for you, honestly.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because we were dying. So I'm glad you got that happiness, because it was robbed for us.
I could write a dissertation on everything that was wrong with the revival, but that's not what today is about.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Gilmore Girls that we love.
Yeah, we're just going to stop.
Let's move on. Focus on the happiness.
Yeah.
And first, though, I thought we'd start off with, there's another Gilmore Girls tag with just some very basic, rapid-fire type questions before we get into the bookish questions. The first question is, how did you discover the show? And strangely enough, I actually watched the pilot episode when it aired, probably by accident. I think it was just on TV that night. Slightly hipster status, but I only really watched episodes kind of sporadically after that for a few years, and then I started getting more into the show, and then when I was in my first year of university and I bought all of the season DVDs, that's when I brought it to that obsessive level.
Yeah, and she dragged me in it. That's how I started watching. Kiss and Tell, very first episode I ever saw.
Question number 2 is, do you own the collection? Do we? Do we own them?
This is only one of our sets. I have a second one as well.
Yeah, because we couldn't share back in the day before Netflix. These were like $50 a pop back in the day, and now they're all on Netflix available. Question number 3 is favorite season. And we have a lot of differences in life, but when it comes to Gilmore Girls, we're pretty much in sync with our opinions.
Season 1, for sure, for us.
It's just the homiest. I love every episode pretty much. There isn't really the lull that happens in some of the other seasons. Next question is your least favorite season. I mean, we're not going to count the revival in this, I guess. Easy, season 7. I mean, we try to pretend it doesn't exist most of the time. The last question is your favorite episode, which is like asking a parent who their favorite child is. Like, what?
There is no such thing as just one favorite episode.
And now on to the bookish questions. The first one
is Lorelai, a character with a witty or sarcastic sense of humor.
For this one, I'm gonna go with Harry August from the first 15 Lives of Harry August. The whole book is just this dry, sarcastic, British sense of humor, and I was laughing out loud the whole time.
And my pick is Jace from City of Bones. Obviously, very dry sense of humor. I laughed out loud so many times reading this book, and he's just hilarious.
I love Jace. So the second question is for Rory. What is your favorite classic? Can you go first, Chantal?
My pick is Tess the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I love everything about this book. I have done essays on this book, but it's kind of a downer, kind of bawled my eyes out reading this book. So, just a forewarning to anyone who might want to read it. It's a little bit depressing,
but it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's amazing.
This is a difficult one for me because I love my classics, but I think I'm going to go with a newer read, which is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. It's just this sweeping family saga through the generations. Then we have, the next one is Luke, a book you secretly love but are afraid to admit it. I feel like we have a few of these.
Yeah. There's a lot to choose from with this one.
Okay, go first.
My pick is The Private Series by Kate Bryan. I almost forgot her name for a second.
Anybody in the comments, please.
Yeah,
if you read
seriously. This was my first YA.
Pre-Twilight
YA. There's probably like 14, 15 books in this series. It's
You
terrible.
read them all.
But it's like Gossip Girl, but with murder and drugs and just everything.
Sounds awesome.
It's just amazing. Yeah, but terrible at the same time.
For mine, I would say I'm not necessarily embarrassed. It's just a book I don't really recommend to anybody. And it is The Bronze Horseman. I absolutely love this book. Like, you don't even know.
Yeah.
But it's like 100% pure romance. And I'm not saying the relationship in this book is one to emulate.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of problematic elements to it, but I got swept up in this, and I was like in a dark hole.
I 100% agree with her. She made me read it, of course, but no one's as obsessed as you with this book. The next question is Lane a musical character?
And this one's actually surprisingly difficult, but I had one that really stuck out. Kvoth from The Name of the Wind. It's actually one of my favorite characteristics of his, that he is so in love with music, because going through for this question, we realized there's really not a ton of characters who are musicians, at least in the books we read, apparently.
For me, I chose the character Mia from If I Stay. She plays the cello very amazingly.
Next question is, Dean, your first book love. And I'm interpreting this as the first book that you fell in love with, not a character. So I'm going to say The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Kind of typical. I'm sure that's most people's answer, but shamefully, I do not have a physical copy of the book for some reason. And you, I knew she was going to pick this one.
And my pick is Chasing Vermeer by Blue Balliet. I still am obsessed with this book. I read it probably when I was about 10 years old, and I have done presentations. I don't know why I choose books and do essays and presentations on them all the time. I am still obsessed with this book. I thought it was so smart and just ingenious. And
like a children's version of Da Vinci Code.
Yes, and I would recommend this book still today. Oh my god, I still love it.
Next question is for Suki, a book you devoured.
Mine is 100% The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle. What is her name? Michelle Hodkins. I read this book in a day, and very next morning I went back out to chapters and I bought the sequel.
I mean, I could use a lot of books for this answer, but this was also one of mine because I had just moved to Dubai and I was completely jet lagged and couldn't sleep through the night whatsoever. So I one night stayed up all night and read this entire book. And it always has a special place in my heart as well for that reason, because it was like my one comfort for that night.
When you called me to tell me to read it the next day, and you said I had to go buy it.
So we both just kind of binged through. That was like, and we got to bond over that again from thousands of miles away from each other. The next question is for Jess, which we are Team Jess!
Team Jess.
100%.
Nobody else.
Probably why we didn't really love the revival. So this is a book you love that gets the most hate. I mean, who's hating on Jess?
Come on, guys. I choose Twilight. I don't care what anybody says. They're not good books.
We know that.
We know that.
We know they're
I've
bad.
accepted the writing is bad, but I'm still in love with these books years later. No shame whatsoever. I don't care. You can hate on it all you want.
I'm gonna go with Wuthering Heights. Everybody hates on this book. Everybody loves Jane Eyre and nothing can compare to it. And yes, this is like massively depressing and there is no happy ending, but I find this much more realistic. And yes, I like it better than Jane Eyre. There, I said it. Shots fired. The next question is Miss Patty, a book that was ruined by the hype.
Let's address something.
We love Miss Patty. I don't like the negative connotation.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they're going off of, like, that she gossips a lot, which of course she does, but...
Yeah, that's probably
I guess. But it is my personal belief, I really don't think books can get ruined by hype. I think that's an excuse that I would use all the time if I didn't like a book. Oh, it's because it was hyped up too much, but I don't know about you, I'm sure you're the same.
Yeah.
There's been lots of books that have been hyped up to me incredibly, and I've ended up loving them.
It's an amazing book, it can't be ruined by the hype. It's just gonna, you're gonna love it anyways, if it's a good book. So I don't believe it can exist. Next one is Emily Gilmore, An Expensive Book. Our answer is the same book for this, for one reason.
Dun 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 dun. This mammoth thing.
Yes. It is the most expensive book that she owns, and it is the most expensive book that I bought for her. So
for Christmas. 4 years ago. We're still waiting on Winds of Winter.
George R. spent $50 on it. It was $50? It was $50, yeah.
It was like 40.
No, it was $50 with tax.
$38.
No, it was $50.
Chapters up the price.
Chapters up the price.
And the last question is for Paris, one of our personal favorite characters.
The one good thing about the revival, I will say, was Paris.
Yeah, for Paris, it is an uptight character. And again, we're going to use the same answer for this one, because this one was kind of hard to come up with, too, for some reason.
We are choosing Mr. Norrell from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
By Susanna Clarke.
Norrell is just very, uptight. He doesn't have a lot of friends. Everything has to be his way. He's very kind of disagreeable,
and thinks that he's always the smartest person in every situation.
Perfectionist is also kind of
which
associated
is
with
Paris.
Yeah, he's kind of just
a little quieter though than Paris. Okay, so that is it for all of the questions. Of course, we would love to hear your answers to some of these and your thoughts on the revival. I know we're probably in the minority. Again, I hope everybody did enjoy it and not feel the way that we feel about it.
I hope everyone is not as upset as we are to those people.